Hey everyone, welcome back to another Tic Tac Taiko. This is my second video in the difficult drill series. Just one drill this week. Your hands are going to have a pretty easy time, but your brain, maybe not as much. Let's go. I want you to have a listen to this pattern and tell me what you think I'm playing. If it's dongo, it would sound like this. Or maybe it's a polyrhythm of 3/4. If that's the case, it would sound like this. The point here is you can't tell which pattern I'm playing without another pattern to supplement, even if it's just as simple as a downbeat. And today's drill is switching back and forth between those two patterns at will. Let me show you an example of what it might look like. To do this drill, you need to understand both patterns. Let's start with the dongo. I did a whole video explaining dongo in great detail. I'm only going to talk about it just a little bit here. If you want to see the full video, I've linked that below in the comments. Dongo is a pattern in 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. In that 3 count pattern, you're going to be hitting on the 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, don, go, don, go. Outside of Taiko, this is referred to as the swung triplet. The 3/4 polyrhythm, or 4/3, either way, I'm just going to start calling it the polyrhythm for the rest of this video. Anyways, the polyrhythm is made up of 4 counts of 3. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3. But on its own, it just sounds like a bunch of 3s. You need another rhythm, which is where you get the word polyrhythm, which means 2 or more rhythms. In this case, we're going to be counting in 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But actually only count to 3, which sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So we have both patterns understood, but another level to get into is the downbeat. Where is the downbeat for both of these patterns? Because that's going to be really important to get the drill done. The downbeat for dongo is really simple. 99% of the time, maybe 98. The downbeat's going to be on the 1, and that's going to be the first hand that starts to play the pattern. 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, don, go, don, go, don, go, don, go. For the polyrhythm, it's good to know where the downbeats land. So I'm going to emphasize by saying where they are as I clap the 4 and say the 3. You'll see what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. It's the 1 of the first 3, the 2 of the second 3, and the 3rd of the third 3. The last 3, nothing happens on the last 3. The downbeat actually skips over that and gets back on the 1. For this polyrhythm, this particular one that I'm using, I'm actually going to be accenting the 1 and the 2, not just the 1. So it'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1 tooth, 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 1. The downbeat is in the same place. The polyrhythm is using the same amount of notes. It's just instead of accenting only the 1, you're accenting 2 notes out of each 3 count. I recommend practicing the polyrhythm because dongo is probably really easy if you play Taiko. If you're not comfortable figuring out where the downbeat is and getting it to land where you want while singing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, then the next step is probably going to help a little bit. The next step before we actually get to the drill is to fortify or reinforce the downbeat. And you can use whatever synonym you want. You're essentially emphasizing the downbeat using your voice and your body at the same time. You have a lot of freedom here. You can say don, you can say pa, you can make any kind of nonsensical sound as long as you can hear what you're saying. As for your body, you're playing, so you can't do a lot with your hands and arms, but you can pulse your weight, you can step left and right, you can tap one of your feet. Doesn't matter, again, as long as your body is moving in conjunction with vocalization of the downbeat. It's going to be really easy to do this with dongo, but that's okay. If you're not used to something like this, I recommend using it on dongo because you don't have to think about the pattern so much and you can focus on getting used to this tool of reinforcement. Dong, 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 dong. Next up, I'm going to do this on the polyrhythm, and you'll see how I start to get a little more loose, a little more creative with the reinforcement. Now, especially compared to what I was doing in dongo, I'm using way more different sounds. I'm using our body in very different ways. I'm also singing more than just the downbeat. For me, I feel like I'm making this more musical rather than just thinking of 1 downbeat, 2 downbeat, 3 downbeat. Especially for the 3rd and 4th count of 3 on this pattern, I really like the feeling of 1, 2, ba, 1, 2, 3. The connection between dun, dun, ba, dun, dun really helped me lock in that pattern. That's just me. You'll find out as you do this what works best for you. And before we move on, 2 quick tips. For dongo, don't feel like you have to play every single downbeat reinforced. That's a lot of motion. You can do every other one. Because this pattern is so familiar to taiko players, you don't need to necessarily reinforce every single one. For the polyrhythm, for both, but especially the polyrhythm, figure out what tempo works for you. If you go too slow, it can be really difficult to connect. If you go too fast, it's really difficult to hold on. So you just have to figure out. Sometimes a little bit faster for this drill actually helps it work. You'll see when you try it. All right, we're gonna put the drill together. We learned how everything is made. We've learned how to make it work, but now we're gonna put the pieces together. I usually start with the polyrhythm. I find that it's harder to do that than it is dongo, so I start with the thing that's more difficult, and then I switch to dongo. After I do dongo, I switch back to polyrhythm. I find that if I start with the polyrhythm, it's like pushing the lake aside, and then when I let go, all the waters of dongo come rushing back in. I don't have to think about it. It's super easy, barely an inconvenience. There are 2 things that are going to help you make that switch from dongo over to polyrhythm. I said earlier that I like to start the polyrhythm with my right hand, which means the downbeat is on my right. Dongo will then downbeat on my left, and knowing that is very, very valuable. So I have to make that shift in my head from 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's not gonna solve it, but that's half of the tools that I have to make this transition. That force from 1, 2, 3 into 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The next step is more brute force. You're going to use your reinforced downbeat to make the polyrhythm happen, even if your brain hasn't caught up yet. So I've got the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 going on. I know the downbeat's on the first 1, the second 2, and the third 3. So let's put it there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It may not happen right away, or it might, but the point is, if you're doing that and you're making it happen, you're brute forcing that, eventually your brain's going to start realizing it's not dongo anymore. Oh yeah, it's this other pattern. Oh yeah, that's 3 over 4. We know that pattern. And to my point before about tempo, if you're doing this too slowly, it's really hard to connect the fact that it is a polyrhythm. If you're doing it too fast, you might hear the polyrhythm, but your hands may not be able to catch up with the reinforcement, or your brain just might be feeling something else altogether. All right, here's the demo. I'm going to start with polyrhythm. I'm going to switch to dongo, back and forth, speed up a little bit each time, and we'll see what happens. Boom, 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 boom. That last round definitely pushed my skill, and honestly I wasn't sure I really wanted to do it because I didn't know that I wanted the world to see me barely hanging on. But so be it. I've done sillier things on this channel so far. It's okay to not be solid in this drill. It's okay to push yourself. I mean, all of my drills pretty much say don't play comfortable. Challenge yourself. Try to do something that's out of your comfort zone, because that's the only way you're going to truly grow. And again, tempo is the key to determining how much you get out of this drill. If you made it this far, congratulations. Even if you just watched it, that's something, because that's a lot of information going in. But if you actually tried it, whether or not you were successful or not, that's to be celebrated. Good on you. You might be wondering why I'm asking you to hurt your brain doing a drill like this. Let me tell you. The most obvious reason is the 3 over 4 polyrhythm. If you watch my videos, especially some of the earlier ones, I talk about how much I love 3 over 4. Not only is it super common in Taiko, it's super common in all genres of music. Not necessarily just the 1-2, 1-2 version, but all kinds of combinations on different notes played in that 3 over 4 combination. Getting good at not just playing the pattern, but understanding it makes you a stronger musician. The other reason, which goes a little bit deeper, is that a drill like this really works your brain's plasticity, the ability to switch back and forth between ideas and concepts. Imagine I was holding some kind of cylinder. I turn it towards you, it's a circle. I turn it this way, it's a rectangle. Circle, rectangle. You're seeing the same object, but depending on where I'm turning it, it's viewed as two different things. Just like this drill. It's the same pattern, but depending on how you think of it, it's two different ones. And so if you like this drill, you know what to do. Give me a thumbs up. Even if you struggle with it, you liked it a little bit, admit it. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And until next time, keep on practicing and be well.